Boom!
Oh, you got good booze. What is that material?
Yeah, this is Aquaman.
Oh, nice. There you go. I thought it was something you were working on. I was like, oh my god.
No. It's another artist I'm obsessed with. It's very good, very good. Like it's the guy that makes me cry. Like it's so good. Like it's something to aim for.
Yeah.
There's this one.
Not as good as Mark and his crew is putting out, so we're excited to have Mark here tonight. So
It's kind of you guys to say. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Sure. Yeah, we've been big fans of you guys for a long time and been banging the table about you and telling folks about you and stuff. So it's really great to finally have you on here and get to meet you. So I appreciate your time and putting up with us tonight. So thanks for coming on and hanging out with us for a bit.
Oh, absolutely. And, on that topic, like looking at folks to, admire and aspire to, one of our creators, I had a conversation with him yesterday and he was just, it's because he works at a comic shop. He's just like, man, I just read all this stuff day in and day out. And I'm just like, I'm never going to get there. And, luckily I had some good news to share with him because his book was, one of the top ones on Global Comics, that new platform. It performed really well this week. So it was a nice, little pick me up for him. He was a little, artists, right?
Oh, I'd be on cloud nine. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we perpetually feel that way, that our stuff sucks and that it'll never live up to what everybody else is doing. And I guess that's good though, right? Because I guess if you get a little bit complacent, you just kind of start not putting out as much good stuff. You should always be trying to.
Yeah, better than the opposite, right? Being like, my stuff's so great, and everyone's like,
I'll butcher the saying, but there's some type of saying like, as soon as you feel like you're at the top or you're the best you can be, it's like it's time for something else, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, it's the imposter syndrome and competitiveness, I guess, right inside you. So I don't know. I feel like I'll always feel like that. Every time I write, I just want to get better. What's up, Nick?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I heard it.
Keep pushing it.
I heard an interview with Mike Judge when he first got, to LA, and he was, trying to break into the TV scene, and it was right when Conan was writing for The Simpsons, and he was talking about he was just like, man, I couldn't come up with this stuff if I, wrote for a million years, and he was extremely successful. So
I'd say so, yeah. That's awesome.
Made a couple bucks. No big deal.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Lesser Known and how you guys got started and all that stuff. Because I know you've been out there for a little bit now. So take us back in time, buddy.
It's only been about a year and a half, actually. So in November 2020, my wife and I were talking. I said, I really want to work on a graphic novel. And I started working with 3 different artists to do the initial concept art. And I just fell in love with all 3 of them. So I was like, okay, well, let's maybe work on a universe that, kind of comes together, different story arcs, within the same universe. And so as we started working on that and putting that stuff out there on Instagram, just so many people started reaching out to us and being like, can I make a comic with you guys too? And it was like, what is that in Dumb and Dumber where they're picking up all the hitchhikers? It's just like, pick them up, right? So fast forward to April or so of 2021, my wife comes into the office and there's a conference call with 14 people on. She was just like, what are you doing, man? She was just like, I did not agree, to any of this. And, luckily she's been super, super supportive, but it kind of grew out of that. And then at some point, you know, we really started boosting our creator-owned content stuff. So at the beginning, I was writing the majority of it. But then, you know, within our own team, folks like the first one was Charlie Ragnarok. She did our issue number 4, the black, white, and hot pink. And then she had this, so I worked at the mall, vampire cult infiltrates the mall. And I was like, wow, your writing's way better than mine. I don't know why you're illustrating for me. You should be illustrating for yourself, dude. So she really kicked it off, and then, you know, just people started coming in. And most recently, you know, folks that I had considered much more successful on their own than, you know, we had been collectively. So Digital Lizards of Doom, that book that we're working on, you know, he had done 35,000 and 22,000 on Kickstarter and Indiegogo, respectively. And he's like, yeah, I really want to come to Lesser Known. I was like, why? You know, and he was just like, logistically, this is all like a nightmare, you know, like you can be certainly like a victim of your own success, you know. So he was having like, you know, stress and all that kind of stuff, and just managing it all. So I was like, sure, yeah, you know, come join the hippie collective of Lesser Known Comics.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things. I'll go ahead, Rogero. I'll table my question.
Yeah, just pointing out like how amazing what you've done just 1 year and a half, because when you have a look on your website, there's so much there. You know, like the art is fantastic, is very well, thank you so much. I'd say organized, and it's very professional as well. And that takes a lot of time, lots of energy, also lots of investment, working with 3 different artists, you know, and that's a lot to put your 2 feet on without knowing what would come out of it. How does it take to have that kind of bravery? How do you do that? It is really like, you know, we are a company, but we're also like a support group, it feels like, because we spend a lot of time laying like that trust level, you know, foundation. And what the artists deliver is not just, you know, the art in many cases. You know, Nico's a new artist, and they're doing it's like, hey, your spreadsheets and your file organization stinks, Mark, so I'm going to fix all that for you. And I was, you know, like, you know, you don't have to do that, right? But when you find people that are passionate about it, you know, they want to succeed, you know, in any way, and lend whatever talents they have. So, you know, there's examples like that, you know, and you know, just the it really, you know, as cliche as it sounds, right, it does feel like a real tight knit group of friends and, you know, and family. Jackie, our graphic designer, was sick today, and we sent her some pad thai and some sticky rice. You know, just, you know, these people really have each other's back. I've just been so blown away by it. You know, even the creators who are most experienced and the ones who are just coming along. You know, Gabe, you know, Digital Lizards of Doom. I remember one of our creators was about to hit 1,000 followers on their Instagram. You know, was like excited. They were about, you know, like a couple short or whatever. And he had just noticed, and we were actually at a bar at the time at the end of LA Comic Con, and he was like, oh, let me fix that right now. And like text a bunch of people, and like you know, it blew up, you know, like a bunch more followers. And, you know, they don't have to do stuff like that. And it really lightens the load, and it like builds the confidence and really makes it feel less scary when there's a whole team involved, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to test Joel next time I'm sick. I'm going to see if I get it.
Texting you back, like, sorry, man.
Yeah. I won't put Rogero on that spot because I can't imagine it's cheap from Brazil to send me anything. But
take off from Brazil might not be good by the time it arrives.
Yeah.
See what happens. Yeah.
DoorDash is rip off enough. I can't imagine ordering from there. So.
Yeah. One of the things I thought was interesting, Mark, was your kind of your business model about how you never really were pursuing. I guess maybe I'm wrong, but I think it said not pursuing profits or whatever. So how does that work in that realm, and how do you keep the lights on and keep everybody in print and everything if you're not pursuing profit, so to speak?
Yeah, I think the mantra of art before profit is really just comes from the fact that I have to believe that if you have a venue to push out what you're passionate about, regardless of the profit model behind it, then it'll feed into the products that you're also doing that do have a profit model around it. So I think the best example is Franco. He did issue number 3. So just for clarification too, we have these lesser known comic minis. They're where I think we're up to number 13, but I think we've only released 7 of them. And then the characters from those spin out into their own titular series and stuff like that. I was reading a lot of Golden Age stuff, and I saw that Action Comics with Superman. So I was I could do something similar. But then he came to me and he had kind of a weird book that he wanted to make, which was had no words. It's just a suspense called Good Night. It's all black and white, and he just wanted to do something that was specific to testing a certain type of talent that he had, that he didn't feel maybe had a whole lot of wasn't the the big comic that people would be yeah, sure, let's go ahead and print those. But I think it pays dividends from the standpoint of he got to exercise that skill set, and it translates into energy, to the other stuff that he's doing as well. The book ended up being super rad, even though when he tried to explain it to me, I didn't quite get it at first. And then I got, and when I got the, we finally got the prints, I was oh, this is rad, dude. So, but yeah, so, and then we try to whatever degree possible, make, people be in charge of what the what we do with the revenue, whether it's whether it's going to help us spend money to go to more conventions and stuff like that, or whether it's reinvesting into larger print runs for a long-term investment, or just money in their pockets. Try and have the creators, to whatever extent, inform those types of decisions. And it's not uniform across the board for all the creators. It's sometimes it's case dependent, just based on what they want and what they need.
Sure. Where are you guys based out of currently, for lesser known, and then where are your artists? Are they U.S. based, international? Where are they located?
So I'm here in DC, Washington DC, but I'm originally from Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area, California. We got a few people in California, but we're also in Wisconsin, New York, a few here in Virginia, Texas, and then we got one guy down in Argentina, because there's something in the water in South America that makes amazing comic book creators. They're just you just see this, they're just man, and one in Spain, and then working with the new guy up in Toronto. So it's starting to be a pretty international group.
Yeah, it's pretty global.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right? Yeah, that's fast in a short amount of time. So how did you go about, connecting with everyone like that? Was it mainly online or through cons, or amalgamation of everything? Or what was that like?
Mostly through Instagram. That's been our primary platform. And we've, to our own detriment, haven't really, invested enough time in Twitter and connected that way. I just always figured, I was Instagram, because it's pictures, right? You should do most of your stuff there. But we actually, I have a meeting tomorrow with a young creator. She's out of California that just saw our stuff at a convention. And, she was ordering our books and stuff like that. And I just recognized the name on the order when I saw it come up in our Instagram feed. as a follower, and I was like, I checked out her art page, and I was just like, how? She's like 18, and I was like, dude, you are so freaking good. Like how, you know, and I think that's kind of where we want to be too, is like to really, you know, we want to stagger the creators so we have some experience in there for mentorship purposes and stuff like that. But, you know, seeing some of these younger folks that are, yeah, I'm just, you know, and that energy and all that also keeps, you know, I spent 17 years in the military. So I'm used to having, you know, younger people, you know, challenging me to like pull up contests and sprints and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, keep you young.
Yeah. Now they do it artistically. I can't believe the amount of information that's out there like that. And I was a drummer in a metal band, and man, you watch some of these kids playing beats on the drum kits and things. It's like they have all of that resource now with like videos and techniques and stuff. We used to have to buy books, man, and like look at you know, Buddy Rich, like how he's putting his foot on the pedal and stuff. And now there's 800 videos about just foot technique, you know, that you can pull up in a second. So amazing. Yeah, John's going to be down your way next week. He's going to Scares That Care. So
yeah, the AuthorCon. I'm excited. That'll be fun. It's in Williamsburg, so
nice.
Yeah, I'm driving solo 10 and a half hours.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Let me know. We'll grab a bite.
Is that like, is that pretty close? I don't know. I mean, I assume that
you'll pass. Yeah, you'll have to pass through. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, that'd be cool. And you're going to Williamsburg when it's not crazy hot, so it'll actually be really nice.
Yeah, it'd be good. I'm like, honestly, since the pandemic, we've all been working from home still. Like my office is now in my basement because my real office is a playroom. Because I never thought I'd be working from home. So I sit in a basement 8 hours a day for 2 years. I'm looking forward to driving 10 hours. I never thought I'd say that. Just getting out of the house. So that'd be fun though.
You hitting comic shops on the way?
No, I can't. I mean, I'm going to be leaving here like 7 in the morning. The convention starts at 5 p.m. So like I'm probably going to not even get there before it starts. But so we'll see. I just wrote a novel, so I'm trying to pitch that to some of these places or people too. So that's really where I was going. But
awesome. Well, congratulations on
thanks.
Too,
yeah. It was I'm super excited about it. So I wish I was thinking though. I could have gotten a Livid table, Joel. Just I was going to be down there anyways. Why not just sell some comics? But
bring books with you, like have them under your coat, and like, hey man, want to buy some books? Like,
well, all I got now for my book is the proof version, so it says not for sale. So I would definitely get in trouble if I did that. But
there you go.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're not here to talk about myself though. So I'm not trying to hijack.
I initially wanted to do a novel, and I thought comics would be easier, and I was in for a rude awakening.
Well, it's you know, it's just a different dynamic, right? Because like when Joel and I formed Livid, that was the whole thing. It was like we worked together in our day job, and he knew I wanted to write, and I started trying to write a novel. And then when he came to me and asked, you know, if I wanted to work on a comic with him, we just basically took what I was going to be writing as a novel and made it a comic series. And dude, I had no idea how to do comic scripts. Like I was copy and pasting from my prose writing, like and like saying, hey, here, I think this would be good for this page. And it's like, that's not how we do comics. Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, it was a learning experience for sure. But it did help me develop like scenes in my head for writing novel form though. I feel like writing comic scripts helped me get better at writing prose. So but yeah, they're two different animals. When we see like Joe Hill does both, and he like excels at both. Like when someone can just crush it at both, it's like two different sides of the brain, I feel like sometimes. But
yeah, I know some writers will do you know, they'll give their illustrators essentially, you know, just written chapters, right? And then have them derive panels and scenes and pages from that. I've seen that work successfully. I haven't. My scripts have gotten, I wouldn't say, I do a lot of writing like on like my phone, just write in like the notepad, and I'm like, you know, send it off. But we do a lot of the Marvel method as well. So, you know, that also takes a lot of the burden off of me too.
Yeah.
Some people like Franco, I don't even think he reads my scripts anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Do you come like busting out of your room like pterodactyls on a planet with blue heads and, you know, like make it happen? Yeah, a lot of those ideas and just let them run with it, right? They see like Stan Lee would do crazy stuff like that, like just get inspired and fly out of the office, yell at the bullpen, and make it happen, right? So.
You know, where it started was we had a character who has like a near-death experience, and I knew the illustrator would like it because he's like really into psychedelic stuff, and he was like, "Well, you don't need to write what that near-death experience is going to look like. I got you," you know, and you know, he really had a good time with it. It was the camera's always mirrored. But then, yeah, when he goes to, you know, so
wow.
And what's kind of fun, at least in my experience with the using the Marvel method with such a team as well, on an interconnected universe, they are leaving Easter eggs for each other. And it's informing a lot of like the future, because I'm like, what is that thing you put on that page? It's super dope. And I didn't write it. So now I feel like I have to write something to go explain what this rad thing is. And, you know, the scripts kind of take on a mind of their own, which is fun because I get at least experience in some cases, like what the reader would. Like one of the examples with Franco, I said, henchmen into the room, you know, on this page, they're all going to get killed. I don't need to tell you how they're all going to get killed. You can do that. And when I got those pages back, I was like, oh my God, like you did not, like these poor henchmen. But at least got to experience like, you know, some of that, you know, jump scare and all that stuff that a reader could get.
Yeah,
there you go,
cool.
John. You need to leave some more artistic liberties.
Hey, man. I was always nervous. Like when I first started, I mean, obviously when I first started, like I said, I was giving you paragraphs, but then like, I didn't know, because there's no formal way to do it. Like you said, Marvel has their own style, you know, different companies do it differently. And so I just like was like, how, like I read the Bendis book. I read, I took a master class with Neil Gaiman, like all these different ways of doing it. So I just kind of took everything and did it the way I thought would work, you know? And I'm like, am I telling them too much to do, or am I leaving enough room for them? Like, so I ask both of them regularly. So unless they're being nice, I think we got it down, you know? So
let's do it. Does he have it down, or is he full of crap? What do you think?
Silence.
Say that again. I didn't get you.
John was saying, you know, that we got the process down at this point for his words, and or do you feel it's too controlling?
Definitely. Yeah. Like at first it was kind of tricky because, you know, it was my second comic, and I had to adapt, but we kept on talking and exchanging. And now I think we get the right way to do it, because every time I see anything that's kind of fuzzy, and then I come back to him and then renegotiate whenever that happens. I think that's the way it goes, because sometimes you don't have to write about all the stuff that's going on. Like you don't have to say, oh, there's a fly over there, there's a pebble. It doesn't have to be like that. But if you give your artist the chance to explore himself, and he can add some things, and then you negotiate from there. Like I think both of you can left the room richer than it was before.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't know. Like I'm like, you know, do I even say worm's eye view or bird's eye view here? Do I just let them figure out a cool angle to draw this at? Like my brain always wants to say at least what's in my head, and then, but you know, but then it's like, you know, we're open about it. Like you said, you know, hey, this is just my recommendation. If you think of a cooler way to show this, do what you do. You know, so
yeah. Sometimes it comes out better. Sometimes doesn't.
No, stop it.
That's a risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the fun parts is learning what type of scenes energize the artist, you know, to make, you know, they just tend to like drawing certain things. And then I always find it hilarious what they hate to draw. Like Charlie hates cars. She's like, just stop, don't put any more cars in these scenes. You know, like,
traffic jam.
You know? And then their thumbnail process.
It's hard when somebody puts in the script that like, we need a car from the 1910s, and then you don't have reference for it.
Hey,
yeah,
that was straight up towards us. Unless you're drawing another 1910s cars.
No, I'm not talking about you. No, this is some other guy.
Yeah.
We had to pick a Brazilian to do an American baseball story, Mark, because that's what we do, right? So why wouldn't we, right? So, of course, you know, yeah. I was going to say, are there any like specific genres that Lesser Known Comics is focused on? Are you guys open to taking whatever, or do you kind of stay within a certain realm of things?
We've most recently we've expanded what we have from I thought I had books here.
John does. He's always got books around.
We are doing more manga than I thought we were going to do, and that was by virtue of the latest. So Digital Lizards of Doom. He changes art style every chapter, like, because each graphic novel is a level in a video game, and he's got some weird like universe stuff happening where it's being controlled from the outside.
I think he froze up a little bit.
I thought it was me.
No, I think he's froze up a little bit. Hopefully he'll come back in.
John's frozen as well. Is he?
John, are you frozen?
I'm
no,
good.
He's just lifeless.
He's just very concentrated.
Yeah. Hopefully it comes back. Yeah, John. If you have the means, can you pull up some of their Instagram feed?
I pulled up their website. I can.
Yeah, we could share that while he comes back on, so we can look at some of the images here and stuff too.
Let me go back to the main page here.
The color work is really fantastic. It's some awesome stuff. So when we look at some of their things, it's really well put together. Production quality is really high.
It really is. Yeah, I agree.
Hopefully he comes back in. Looks like he's coming. Here we go. And there he is. Hey, he's back. Yeah.
Comcast, right?
Yeah. We were just bragging about your production quality and your color work, man. It's like, it's pretty awesome. It's like second to none. It has
Thank you so
really
much.
The really cool thing is it really has a distinct look. Like when you look at your body of work, it's very cohesive, right? It doesn't, there's not like a lot of deviation. And I say that in a good way, right? You can almost look at that book and say, yep, that's a lesser known comics book. I think that's a great thing. That's a hard thing to do. So congrats.
Oh, thank you. Our graphic designer, Jackie, will love to hear that, because she's like, Mark, like it's her job to make it look cohesive. So, so I certainly appreciate that, and I'm sure in her as well. But yeah, as I was saying, we're doing some more manga stuff, just because the illustrator for the latest Digital Lizards of Doom book, she's a manga artist. And then we just LA Comic-Con, we were seeing that manga is kind of king there. And there's a lot of fans of manga that are even doing like Western style comics. So I worked at the mall, even though it's like got a real punk rock, punk scene vibe. A lot of the things she does when it comes to like people's inner monologues and stuff like that, it's all ripped off like a very like Naruto type, like changing of complete art styles and stuff like that, within. Yeah. So they've kind of got me on that. We end up with a lot of kind of punk rock feeling, kind of dabbles in horror, type of stuff. And I think generally, yeah, we kind of attract people with sick imaginations and stuff like that. It's always funny to me too, because like Kayla, she did the Hara. super sweet, super shy, super reserved, and she's, hey, it'd be cool, can I like put a comic out with you guys? Oh, yeah, like, I love your art. Let's see what you have. And she sent me the Hara, and I was just like, you would never guess this person in a million years would just be making these like amazingly horrific scenes.
You got such a body of work there. Are they primarily like human interest stories, or is it got a supernatural flair, a little bit of both, or is there like a main theme that you might be seeing that kind of comes across on all of them?
So, we have the two types of books, ones that exist within like the lesser known universe. So those are the lesser known 1 through 7 that are on the website. And then one that's coming out to Death Wish. Really excited about that one. So those all do the spread since we got the big one.
Yeah, sure. Oh, there you go.
Wow.
So it follows. So the stuff I'm writing follows this character. She was born in the 1860s or 1850s, and she gets introduced to witchcraft to escape. She was essentially, being human trafficked back then, and she's kind of like our Wolverine. So she's got this long history, and she's, been a million places and a woman for all seasons. But instead of like Wolverine, where he's like the best at what he does, like she's kind of like never really reads the fine print of the spells that she's casting. She's kind of always like, doing the shortcuts. And so throughout the decades, she's kind of facing, the consequences of all those decisions. So when she gets her hapless sidekick, in modern times, who's loosely based on me, he's just like, how do we keep going to all these places where you have like beef with everybody, and like there's all these like supernatural things trying to kill us, all because you did something, 10, 15, 20, 100 years ago or something like that. So that all keeps like in a witchcraft stuff, or like in a witchcraft theme. And then the creator owned content, that's just really, whatever they bring to us. But I think perhaps because we're doing supernatural stuff, that we attract, some weird sci-fi supernatural type stories. Digital Lizards of Doom is a sci-fi space adventure. The one we're releasing, I don't have a proof on me, but Tank McGregor, that's another sci-fi one that we're releasing in end of April. So I think we'll be a little bit more diverse on the creator-owned, stuff versus our, the stuff that's derived from the universe I developed.
Sure.
Tank McGregor is great. So I wanted to ask about that because did they run a Kickstarter initially and then go with you guys or something? I know that comic. I've seen it, or at least the character, I should say. I remember thinking this looks badass. I don't remember where I saw it, if it was on like Twitter or what, but maybe it was through you guys. Maybe I just saw it on your Instagram or something. But
yeah, Ray Garza, amazingly talented. He launched a Kickstarter, and it actually wasn't successful. And I think he just, wrong time, because the art's amazing. So it's just a matter. Social media is a tricky place, right? So, there's a couple small tweaks that you can do to grow that audience, much more rapidly. And so, I said, hey, we'd love to, bring this into the catalog and just do a relaunch with you. So yeah, that one I'm particularly excited about, and super easy, when somebody's just got, because he actually printed the books already and stuff like that. So we worked out a deal to make it so we essentially, buy up his existing inventory and then, bring it into the catalog.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that you could, help them bring that along, because to your point, I mean, the project looked awesome. So sometimes it's just like doing the Kickstarter or Indiegogo is a whole nother animal for people, right? Mm-hmm. And if you don't get the proper backing, I mean, a great project can just not make it, and it's unfortunate. But I remember watching the trailer and thinking, this looks freaking awesome. So
yeah, it's a super funny read.
Yeah.
He is really, really funny guy. And And then one of the things that we're trying to do in order to help pull the artists and creators together. So the new Digital Lizards of Doom book comes out on, or launches on Tuesday on Kickstarter. So he did the variant cover for that, so that when we go into the Tank McGregor launch, right after, that people are already familiar with him. And then the interior artist for Digital Lizards of Doom, her book, Love, Love, Arcadia, that'll launch, after the Tank McGregor one. But we're going to try and do it so that the variant cover artists for those books that are down the pipeline are doing something on, the current project or the projects that precede them. One, I think it's a huge team building thing, but then also from a marketing perspective, be like, oh, you like this, this guy's got his own thing, or this girl's got their own thing. So we'll see. It's kind of like the end of Black Widow, where it had the Hawkeye thing, and the reason I watched Hawkeye and I ended up loving it. So
I haven't watched Black Widow yet, so you think you just spoiled something? No, I'm just.
For what?
If you haven't watched Black Widow at this point, it's on you, I guess.
Yeah.
I just finally watched Spider-Man last week.
Oh, see, I saw that in theaters because I was so excited. But I don't know. I'm really excited to see Moon Knight next week. I'm amped up for that. But I haven't followed before the Marvel series on Disney Plus. I watched everything, and then once they came out on there, for some reason I just got behind. So I don't. I haven't watched Hawkeye yet. I was excited for that, and I still never even got around to it. So it looked great. But anyways, we go on tangents on this show, so it happens. So.
Well, it's a good one. It's a good one to watch with the kids. It's the only one that's could be
kid-friendly.
Kid friendly. There's some violence in it, but it still feels a little I don't know, Home Alone.
Nice. Well, I'm getting the vibe that Moon Knight's not going to be kid friendly, so
don't watch that with your kids.
Probably not.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I don't think the new Batman is.
No. That's supposed to be a horror movie, basically, with Batman in it.
Yeah,
so.
and I have a 7-year-old that he asking me to take him to the cinema, and I say, hey, no, it's not for your age, and he can accept that. I love Batman. No, it's not the same of the cartoons, and not the guy there. No, forget about it.
That's been one of the tricky things too. Digital Lizards of Doom is our only all ages property right now. So it's so we actually have schools that are ordering that book, and they're like, "Oh, we'll go to your website and order it." I'm like, "Well, don't poke around the website too much. Scare you off."
Right. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about. I think you're starting to talk about that Digital Lizards of Doom. About it to kind of being different, chapter for chapter. Is it an anthology, or what's the premise on that one? Tell us a little bit more about that.
So he's got 8 books planned. We're launching book 3 on Tuesday, the 29th, and so.
Oh no! Every time he talks about it, he freezes up.
Yeah, there he goes.
It's like the comic gods don't want to talk about Digital Lizards of Doom. So.
Maybe he's saying anything that's not good for YouTube. YouTube does that.
True.
I blame Russian hackers at this point, because that's coming.
I thought it was gonna be me running into these issues tonight.
Yeah. If you click on that, does it go to any other information, John? If you click on
I think I tried it before we were on. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, sorry guys. Some days it's worse than others.
I thought it was going to be me tonight, not you. That was running into these issues.
Yeah. So this is the third. It'll be 8 books. He actually has 4 and 5 already in production, and it's a beast because. It's done as I'm gonna grab it. I can show the interior.
And these are some wild colors,
right?
Yeah. So everything's done as an in-game chat, So it's done you start your adventure, you pick your character like you're doing a video game. So each book represents the characters that you choose.
Oh yeah.
And the format threw me off, right? Like the first time I was like reading it, I was like, this is weird. And then next thing I know, like I like spent the whole afternoon like reading the book. So it took me a second, but like, you know, just totally fell in love with the format. And he's got something figured out, because it's the one, you know, I visited a buddy, Dave Law. If you haven't checked out Dave Law and Space Auditorium, he's got amazing work. But I was visiting him in San Jose, and his kid went straight for the Digital Lizards of Doom book. Like, you know, I gave him a whole stack of comics and he went straight for it. So I was like, good, because that's like the only one I would recommend your kid reading. The cool thing about level 3 and the audience, I guess it goes to, so Ray Porter, the guy who played Darkseid in Justice League, the Snyder Cut at least, wrote the foreword for it.
That's
awesome. It was like really nice. It was really cool. It was such like it was like poetry how he wrote it. What a beautiful human that guy is. And because it's kind of like, you know, Adventure Time, where it appeals to kids, you know, but like adults, you know, can certainly enjoy it as well. And then especially, you know, like, you know, stoners certainly will enjoy it. It's a far out adventure. So I think book 4 is planned for September, you know, to launch. And then that one is in discussion for an animated series, which, cool. You know, feel a little out of my depth, you know, as a new publisher, to know exactly, you know, what what our role in that is. Right. So it's been interesting to see that, because when they pick books up for an animated series, the canon is separate in the series than it is in the books, and then they'll want books that reflect the series, and it becomes, you know, so it's just but it's been kind of fun to navigate, you know, and kind of learn that whole world.
I was gonna say it'd be a cool problem to have. I'd be completely lost, but I'd be all about it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. I'm very curious about that image that I saw earlier on. That cover, it's like that made me really curious. The digital Doom, lizard Doom, I don't remember properly, but what's that? Does it have anything to do with the reptilian civilization, or there's another? What's going on there?
Yeah, so it's a far out story. So it's an ancient pineapple demon that has essentially, he's a big pop culture fanatic, you know, of music and TV and comics, and he's captured all these characters from across the universe, you know, that kind of are homages to everything from Ninja Turtles to King Kong, Godzilla, to, you know, manga characters and things like that. And he's just this megalomaniac that's captured them in this video game simulation, and they're all becoming self-aware of the fact that they are in a simulation, you know, and they're navigating their way out of that. And people who have traditionally played the hero or played the enemy, you know, are coming to terms with, you know, who, you know, their own identities and things like that. So it's a deeply philosophical book, even within its wackiness of, you know, in book 3, they travel to a planet that's shaped as a donut, where a mermaid alien that essentially has Medusa hair and, enchants her victims, you know, like lives. But it's, you know, you're reading it and you're like, man, this has got some really, really, like, you know, some Buddhist messages and some things like that in there. You know, you're just like, wow, this is some heavy stuff.
That's story of mankind. Yeah, that sounds awesome. The funny thing is that sometimes the only way to make people understand is using crazy symbols like you're using there, because like you're entertaining, but you are also teaching something, which is great. It's fantastic. That way of explaining things, how the world works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you know, I think comic books have a real unique way of doing that. So I worked at the mall. You know, it's not heavy-handed in the fact that, you know, she brings up some things, you know, in a comedic way. You know, she's got, you know, the creepy, you know, mall manager, right? And any woman that's worked in retail, you know, will tell you, you know, all sorts of horrible stories about what it's like to have, you know, that creepy guy that's your manager and, you know, doing all sorts of inappropriate things in the workplace. So it's conveying an important like theme, but certainly not heavy-handed. I mean, I mean, that book's about a vampire cult that's trying to take over the mall, you know, so it's, you know, you wouldn't think you're, you know, but it's certainly well crafted in that way.
Yeah, I love the format. Like it's pocket friendly.
Yeah. It's people like these, like retailers hate these small books because they don't fit like in their boxes. But yeah, customers seem to really like it.
The only reason I hate them is because like my size is not the same as used to be. But I used to have those pocket comics when I was a teenager. It was great. I would put them in my back pocket, you know, go to the bus on the way to the school, would read text.
Yeah.
You know, it was that kind of format. It was fantastic. And you're the first guy who's doing that in ages, you know, invest in all this type of format there. So kudos to you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's all Charlie. Yeah, she's actually taken the position, I guess, as, you know, creative director, you know, for Lesser Known, because well, one, we needed somebody to kind of herd the cats of all the different creators, because we got, you know, 14 that are working.
That's the young girl?
Yeah, she's the number 2 and number 3 employee at Lesser Known Comics are both women at, I think they're both 24 and 25.
That's fantastic.
They're insanely impressive. And, you know, I don't know what I would do without, you know, them also, you know, whipping me in shape when it comes to, you know, hey, Mark, you know, these need to be standards, and, you know, these things need to be, you know, the processes we have in place to be a professional company and stuff like that. You know, I never went to college, you know, for any of this. So, you know, one did go to college for marketing and graphic design, and the other one is, you know, graduated for illustration. But you know, so their insight and expertise is definitely, you know, valuable.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was going to say, like, the colors, that they look pretty universal on those covers on your site. Is that the same color artist, or is that just by coincidence that they happen to have that cohesive feel?
Yeah, it's just by coincidence, I think.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah, they really flow, you know, homogeneously together. So it's a great look there too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I you know, I mean, it's always nice to hear the outside perspective, because all I hear is all I see, you know, is all the things.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
Right. I'm not just to be a lip service either. I think it's so it really pops. And even Rogerio, I think you froze up when he was talking about it. I hope they heard him. So saying how good those covers looked. I think even before the show, you were saying they're pretty awesome. That's great.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. What are some of the challenges that you guys are running into trying to, you know, manage at this scale right now, or production? What are some things that you're finding being a problem at this point for you guys?
You know, for me personally, it's the on the tax end, on the legal end, and all those things, like, that's very time consuming. Also, we started working with a marketing firm to learn everything. You know, there's a whole system around Kickstarter, you know, that takes, you know, very precise management. You know, little things that I discovered that, you know, Kickstarter wants you to do certain things within the first 72 hours of a launch. And it has exponential benefits or exponential, you know, impediments if you don't do those particular things. So that's, you know, probably a reason why you see some really cool projects either, you know, go one way or the other. But learning all that, learning the data management, learning the data analytics, understanding, what your website has to do on the back end in order to perform optimally and stuff like that. It all pulls me away from the creative process of actually writing comics. Fortunately, there are two writers that run a podcast called Apollo City Comics, Brandon and Brandon. And so they've been helping co-write a lot of things. But, in an ideal situation, I'd have, more time, to work on the actual craft. So hopefully we can get to a stasis where, that's achievable. And then, some of the other regrets is as we scale up and, there's only so many hours of the day, there's a lot of artists that we want to work with or that we've initiated working with, but, their books may be 6, 12, 18 months away from release just because, we can only move so fast. There's an artist, Saviarius. She just did a variant cover for us. And I'll see if I can find it while I'm talking. But we had been talking about making comic books together for, a year, and we're finally just doing it. And it's a matter of, I think a lot of times when people will say, hey, whether they initiate the conversation or I initiate the conversation, let's say, let me know, if you're interested in doing something. And like my number one advice to creators is you have to just be persistent. You have to just kind of always be on the radar and checking in constantly and being like, hey, can we do that thing now? Can we do that thing now? Because it's the amount of shiny objects that, come in my orbit. So yeah, this was the variant cover she did for us for Free Comic Book Day. And I was just like, yeah, we got to do, we have to make comic books together, but it's even at that with me actively trying to make that happen. It took a year and we're still just at thumbnails, just because of our schedules.
I get what you're saying too about, we get some people trying to ask to work with us, and I feel bad because I can't get back to everybody. It's not that I don't, give a shit or ignoring them. I just, like you say, there's this, by the time I see that, like 8 other things have come in or my attention's been drawn somewhere else. And yeah, so I think that's good advice if somebody's trying to get a hold of us. Just, it's more me or us, not you. So please keep trying, because just morons, just busy with stuff. So it happens.
Yeah.
It's not that we're giving you the cold shoulder or anything. Just busy with stuff, right? So hit us up if we can. That's awesome. We're running into some of our normal printers are having paper issues. I don't know if you're running into any of that, like supply chain logistics stuff at all, but we've seen a little bit of that too.
Yeah, I had a longer conversation today about shipping costs than, I anticipated, just because I think a lot of people experience whatever, with the dilemma with media mail. Comic books kind of fall in that gray area.
Right.
And then if you add bookmarks, if you add stickers, you add that kind of stuff, does it still constitute media mail? And it's like, probably not, but they probably won't check, so it's like, but then your partners have to accept the same amount of risk as you, so, those are all tricky things to work out that take time.
Yeah, exactly. So some problems with that. Yeah, I don't know. I always just go on. We're getting some feedback from you, Rosario, I think a little bit. We go with first class mail just to avoid it, just in case, right? So anybody that be bombarded with stuff. I had to mute Rosario. Sorry, buddy. So you just get a little noise.
Yeah. And that was the conversation too, having to do with whether or not reflecting those true shipping costs or worst case scenario shipping costs, within the price of the book or within Kickstarter, how much of that is going to have an impact on the backer's likelihood of actually, being able to support a project or, being scared off by seeing, a shipping price and the campaigns seem to be all over the place in terms of what people are charging for shipping, probably because they're just landing on different ends of that spectrum.
Yeah, I think it's literally at cost for first class mail with a Gemini mailer is like $9 to $11 US at cost now. It used to be what, like 4 or 5 not too long ago. Now it's way up there. So to your point, it's really, really gone up. And we're trying to control the next Kickstarter we got coming out. We're trying to control a lot of things for stretch goals in-house too, because of some other supply chain issues. Like some things would take 4 to 6 weeks to come, right, if you had them as a stretch goal. So that's being back-ended onto your release time and trying to get people books. And that's been kind of frustrating too. So some of the other things we're running into like that. So we're trying to just say, well, maybe the stretch goal is you get some original art, or maybe, you know, we add some more pages, or who knows, right? So things that we can control, things like that. So that's some problems that we're seeing. Yeah. And then we're thinking about other ways to get people to book, right? Digital, obviously a new, well, not new, but, you know, another angle to get stuff out at also.
Yeah, those stretch goals too. Stretch goals and add-ons are tricky. You know, on fulfilling our last Kickstarter, or our last 2 Kickstarters for that matter, we were finding that 90% of our time was being spent fulfilling like 10% of those add-on type of things. And the time it was taking, you know, and the money it was costing was not like commensurate with, you know, like the revenue it was generating. So I mean, and you want to like offer these things because they're cool, right, you know, but it was prohibiting us from moving on to releasing next books and stuff like that, especially Kickstarter cracking down on being like, your past stuff has to be completely cleared out pretty much in order for you to launch the next one.
Yeah, that's good, because some people aren't fulfilling anything. I think I backed like 10 things and got 3 so far, so that's pretty common too, right?
Yeah, it is common, and it's something that Kickstarter should do something about it, because there's no guarantee that you're going to have your book. No, 0. And that's really unfair, because once you back a campaign and you don't get it, you can think, all right, I'm not going to back anybody anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's a very bad and dangerous backlash. And I think they have to have a way to fix that problem there.
Yeah, it goes to the importance of when we were preparing for this one, marketing company was just like, whatever physical proofs you can show, whatever, you know, actual the pages and things like that to show that that this thing is, you know, essentially done, so that people have the confidence, you know, to know, okay, I'm not backing something that's going to take, you know, 6 months, a year, or whatever, you know, to fulfill, because our first 2, you know, took way too long, you know, to fulfill. And that was one of the things that we kind of discovered when we were reassessing 2021 going into 2022, is that there's nothing wrong with what we were doing. We just weren't doing it fast enough, you know? So being able to, I think the plan on this one is that the books will actually start printing 15 days into the Kickstarter, so that they're sitting at the printers ready to ship, and all they need is the order form. And us being able to accurately project to say, okay, by day 15, we can reasonably project, you know, we're going to end up selling or getting pledges for this many books. And then, you know, so our final count won't be dramatically off, or what we say to the printer. We'll just add a little bit of buffer space there anyway, to keep, you know, additional inventory. We lucked out our printer. We're using Comics Wellspring. I always have to give them a shout out. They have just been so amazing. And also, like, yeah, the attention to detail, because, you know, finding things that I've missed in the orders and stuff like that, or I clicked the wrong button or something like that, and being like, oh, no, I know, we know what you meant, Mark, you know, so, you know, so that's always been a welcome, you know, bit of help.
Yeah, that does help if you're a printer out there, because I'm old school, man. I used to do like A.B. Dick, like offset color press stuff, and this whole digital thing is like I'm like one generation too old, so right. So I need some of the help and support on getting that stuff transferred over. So yeah, it's good when they help that support and help you out, because I'm just a moron sometimes when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, and you know, one of the other things too, so the nice part, they're a family-owned company. They're in Michigan. You know, I got to visit the actual printing place. I know where the paper's sourced from. you know, so, you know, our books, you know, we could print and ship from other places, you know, it would probably be cheaper, you know, but, you know, you never know what the conditions for how they were produced and stuff like that are. So, you know, hopefully, you know, we communicate that well to our audience, and also, you know, communicate, you know, things cost more when you do them responsibly. And, you know, we're trying to do them as responsibly as possible. So, and I think this generation, this era, you know, that we're in, people, you know, tend to care about that more than perhaps they used to, or it wasn't even really a consideration or something to really think about in the past.
Right. Yeah, I think people will support things like that, and there's always a market for quality too, right? Put out a quality product, people get it, right? May cost you a couple bucks more, but it's cool, and it comes from good origins, and it's solid quality. It's always a big thing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Where do you see yourselves going, you know, in the next year or two? Do you have like a game plan, or just kind of riding things out, or what's that look like for you as you blast into the future here?
We're really hoping to, you know, expand the catalog and be a place where we're, you know, not just releasing our own, but also helping like curate the wider like indie comic, you know, you know, what everybody else is creating. One of the things that we do, and I'm not sure if I told you this before, but, you know, offer is certainly always out there. So, you know, on our back pages and stuff like that, everything from, you know, our buddy Jeff Manley, he's out in Michigan, so he puts, you know, shorts in the back of our comics.
Cool.
And then we'll do a couple advertisements for other indie comic creators that we thought, you know, these are just our buddies, because, you know, you got to do, especially in the Saddle Stitch, right? You got to have those increments of 4. Right. So, and it's a you know, doesn't really cost more to add 4 pages. So, you know, putting those advertised to other creators that we admire for free, that's one of the things that, you know, we try and do. But I want to follow the, you know, that Oakland A's, like, what is it, you know, Moneyball style, where it's like we're the incubator. You come here, you make your comics with us. If someone comes and offers you, you know, a truckload of money to go somewhere else, we're going to be like, you know, fly away, little birdie. Like, we love you and we wish you all the success, but we want to really be like an incubator model for.
Take 10%.
I just want to be invited to the after parties. That's all, you know, that's all I want, you know.
That would be great too. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you come up with a new script, and I see that you have a wide range of comics there. Like I've seen so far, you got horror, you got psychedelic stuff, and adventure. But when you come up with a new script and you're looking for an artist and you don't know what you're looking for, what would be your requirements for an artist to apply for you?
So we have a lot of these minis. They're 6 to 10 page books, and what those are for is to give me a chance to work with the artist, to go through the process, because you don't want to find out that it's not a good working relationship. And it could be that I'm a pain in the ass. It could be that, you know, just our schedules don't align, or just like, you know, it could be a lot of things. So it could be nobody's fault, right? It's just, you know, it's just not a good fit or something like that. So we use these 6 to 10 page minis to be like, you know, let's test out that water. I try and have the lesser known universe kind of be that sandbox that people can play in. So that's usually where I do like that, you know, that trial, you know, thing. I think it's becomes pretty apparent. Obviously, art's got to be great, but we spend a lot of time kind of assessing that personality. You know, we talk a lot in our team meetings about Like, I don't really care what that person's individual success is unless they are helping the person to the right and left of them. And that's generally been a good measure to see how well they work as a team. Because, I have encountered people who, have been, kind of, I don't really care what's happening to left or right of me. I just want to, do my thing. And that's fine. This is just not going to be a good fit, at lesser known for you. And, it's not a judgment call it's not a judgment on morals or ethics or anything. It's just, for us, it's really like, just a matter of if people have patience and empathy and understanding with all that, because they have the chops. We're going to have mess ups, that's inevitably going to happen, and so having that baseline, personality really helps recover from that, because, for example, World Eater's a good example. We were going through the editing process for this book, and first time creator, he did an awesome job. He used a lot of crazy screen tones and light effects and stuff like that. Editing process was a nightmare, not because it was his fault or my fault or anybody's fault. It was just like our first rodeo doing that together. And, to his credit, like the amazing amount of patience he had, the amazing amount of patience the graphic designer had, we got through it. Like, hopefully we don't go through that process again, but just real sweet people that care about each other and care about, the graphic designer, she's very, very like highly sensitive. She's like, she'll put a lot of pressure on us. She's like, I never want to like ruin anyone's work, and it's like, it's okay, Jackie, but I'm so glad you feel that way, that it's not a job to you, right? It's something that you have, you're a trustee of this art or this artist's work, and that you feel, obligated to not take any shortcuts and stuff like that. And it's team first, type of thing. So not to keep sounding like I've drank the Kool-Aid on that one too much.
It's really important, and you got to have fun with the people that you work with, right? Nobody wants to work with a grouch, so it's got to be some fun camaraderie too, and have a good time, for sure, right? So, yep, lifts it all up together. Yep.
Yeah, and the other part too is we have artists that have made multiple books with us, and in that environment, like, I was happy with their work when we initially started working together, or else, we wouldn't have done that. But to see like that exponential growth, because they feel like they can take risks, they feel like they can, be honest and open. Katie, I remember she was working on a book. She's like, I tried a new thing for colors. I didn't learn anything except for how to spend way too much time doing, like, I think, she was doing that monochrome stuff. Yeah. It's like, cool, like it's not a big deal. We're going to pass it together. She's tremendous at colors, and even the best, right, will things will happen.
I laugh because I just did the colors for Deadball over Rogerio's art, and it's all painted. I used the watercolor effect. So instead of like, using like a paint bucket where you can drop in a large area, I literally had to paint every single pixel on there by hand, right? And it's a real crappy watercolor brush, and I kind of wanted it to blend together and get some overlap and some sloppiness, because the book's supposed to look like it's 100 years old, so you might see that bleed over the time and stuff. So I'm really interested to see what their critiques will be on some of that, because people go like, yeah, the book was cool, but the colors are shit. It's like, it's kind of, but it took forever, man. It was like, I feel her pain, because it was just a new technique. It looks cool, but boy, oh boy, it was just like a month of coloring every little panel and pixel, so just
like that. There's no shortcuts there. No shortcuts. No. You can't use that bucket.
No.
No, you can't.
Not at all. No autofills or anything like that.
No, there isn't.
Pure torture.
Yeah, Kieran's a good example. So he does all his stuff watercolor. And then he was like, "Oh, I'm going to do digital color on this cover."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Now I remember why I don't do digital colors. Like, it takes me forever, you know."
So he's just a real analog watercolor then, right? Then oh, that's cool. Mine was a digital watercolor, so I kind of cheated a little bit. But yeah, that's even more adventurous because you put down that analog watercolor, man. It's there, right here. You're committed. Yeah.
Well, if you ask him, right, you're like, "Oh, why do you do watercolors?" And he's like, "It's the only thing I know how to do, and I'm scared of everything else, so I do watercolors." And like, so for other people, they're like, "Oh, you're being so ambitious." He's just like, "I'm scared of doing anything else."
Yeah, I think that's the hardest. Like a stain, you drip something, man. It's like, oh, I guess there's a drip there now, you know. So I do some oil painting. At least you can just take a rag and wipe that off. If it sucks, it doesn't dry right away. But boy, you know, watercolor and ink, it's there.
Oh no. I would like to play safe, because like if you just mess it all up, it's gone. You got to redo it all over. And those guys, they are very, very courageous, which I am not.
Yeah.
It's interesting to watch all their processes too, because some people do. Andrea, he does the whole book basically like if he was sketching on his notebook, and then he does the whole book again after he like. So his thumbnails are like essentially its own standalone comic, and it's stylized completely different. And then he goes and does the real thing. Franco's pencils are mostly just circles and lines. You know, same thing with Kieran. You know, because they just enjoy inking more, and they're like, well, I'm not going to draw this face twice, so I'm not penciling the face. I'm just going to ink it, you know. And then other people just excruciating detail at every, you know, step in the process. So it took me a while to, because that's part of the imposter syndrome. A lot of people don't want to share their thumbnails, or they don't want to share like certain things because they're like, everyone's going to find out I'm a fraud and I don't know what I'm doing, you know. But everyone's kind of in that boat.
There's some magic. My process is so funny, man, because I'll start out like a little bit of all of it, right? I'll start out like really loose, like just those circles and lines crap at like the first page. Then the second page will be a little bit more detailed. And then by the time I get to like page 20, I'm just going straight into the whole page. So it's this like blend of, you know, the page is done. Like I'm almost going straight ink by the final page. I'm like, whatever at that point. You know? So I have to go back and cheat and end up flushing out like pages 1 through 10 that are all just kind of this, you know, hodgepodge of just loose crap all over the place. And so it's so funny because I work the book this way, then I work the book that way, and go back through it again. But I don't know why I do it that way. It just happens. So whatever.
Have a look on this this kind of scribble here.
All right, let's pull that up.
Yeah.
That's the process.
This is behind the scenes.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah.
That's that ball here.
Yeah.
Like a page that I'm about to draw when I.
Mark, I've never seen this, so I've never seen this either. So this is the first.
Yeah, those are new, and that's the most important part, because all the rest just you try to perfect it, and you do a layer one another, and then it gets, you know, better and cleaner. But it's fantastic because anybody can do that, and the whole process is just about refinement. You do that over and over and over until it gets, it looks like something.
Yeah. So because you've worked together so long, I mean, at this point, when Rogerio shows you something like that, can you already visualize the finished page? You know.
They do. Yeah, it's fantastic. They do.
Yeah.
But actually, they didn't go to a process like because both of them, they are artists. Like Joe draws. Joe is an accomplished painter, and like they can get it in a second. But most people, when I show that, say, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
That's funny, because when you see the result, and it doesn't look anything like it, and that's the magic of it.
Yeah, that's gonna be in the museum some year. That's the stuff that you see there. Like, man, I was at like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I see some of the you know, notebook lyrics that like John Lennon wrote and stuff like that. It's just like mind blowing. You know, just things like that. It's so cool to see that stuff.
Yeah, but those kind of things they get valuable when you die.
True. True.
I'm not in a hurry, so it's all right.
Yeah. Tell your son to keep it around, put it in a museum. Right. That's it. Yeah. What are some books outside of the lesser known universe that you follow, Mark? Past or current that you're into these days?
Oh gosh, like literally at my feet here, I have like boxes of indie books, and I was, I knew somebody he'd like give me garbage for not keeping current or not knowing a lot of Marvel and DC and stuff, and I was just like, I was like, my indie comic knowledge has gone like through the roof. The ones that come to mind, actually, I probably have it. Oh yeah. So my buddy Dave Law just did this book with Philip. Is it Ginn? Yeah, I always want to say Glenn, but yeah, and Garrett Benningfield. So these are some guys that I just got to show this inside really quick.
Wow. Oh yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm a big fan of Red, White, and Black, man. That's one of the covers. Spoiler alert: it's going to be Red, White, and Black coming up. So
yeah, I love it. Looks great.
And then my buddy Alex Schumacher, he does some of the shorts that go in the back of our books. So he just handed me this last week. Yeah, The World's Crummiest Umbrella, and it's just like kind of almost like in a kid's book format. But yeah, there's just so much. And one of the other ones that comes to mind is we see stuff. What's their names? From Global Frequency. They did that Mavericks comic, big mech robots and stuff like that, and just like it's always fun to see something that somebody else is doing that you're like, oh yeah, I wouldn't dream to do mech robot comics, but you're just like, oh wow, that's something that I would never do, but I think it's so awesome.
It's a whole different skill set, man. That's like mind-blowing stuff, like how to get all the angles, make sure it all ties together, stays, cohesive and things, and just mind-blowing stuff.
Oh, and that world building, right? Especially the sci-fi stuff, and like what is, this gizmo and gadget going to look like, and the science behind it, Yeah,
all that cyberpunk stuff is just, that whole universe is just wild. Like, good luck. I don't know how they pull that off, but it looks great. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we're sitting on a couple that one of the interesting things with newer creators is they always, they come in and they'll work on my stuff because they feel comfortable like working on somebody else's stuff, and they always have this like opus in the background that they're working on. Charlie Ragnarok's got this big vampire story called Scorn that's really awesome. Ray Rainsberger, he's doing lesser known comics number 8. He finished it already. It just hadn't gone to print, but he's got a cyberpunk spaghetti Western that he's working on. And I'm just nice. Can you finish this already? Like, this is so cool. And he's like, it's not done,
Yeah. I get that happens a lot with probably Ruggiero has stories too, but John and I have other ideas. And it's like, we want to get this stuff done that we're working on to get this other stuff. We're like, man, oh man, let's just get it out of there. It's just got to come down. And I got some story ideas too, some cool stuff that I'd like to get out there. Probably basically seed John with the idea, let him write it, and and run with it. But here's the premise, buddy. You just take off from here. So I want this guy to do a 1950s era UFO cliche alien invasion story, but have a strong female lead, and that I think would be super cool. Something different. It's always
this is what I'm begging for.
I know.
The past 2 years.
Yeah. So
I want to show off some skills that I didn't have a chance to do that yet. The best thing about comics is that every page you do, you feel like you're a better person. It's like I'm making this world a better place because somebody somewhere is going to like it and it's going to make a difference somewhere. I love to think that way, so it's every time when I meet someone like you who's putting things out, you have no idea what you're doing. because that is going to multiply, and people are seeds. You know, they can grow into big trees, and you never know. You can be influencing some people out there, and just have this kind of desire to influence is fantastic. Even if it never happens, it's great to have that kind of illusion.
Yeah, you're totally right, and I don't think that creators realize it. So Ray Rainsberger, the guy doing the Cyberpunk Spaghetti Western, when he came to LKC, he didn't even know her name. He said, "Oh, I just came because I wanted to work in the same place as." He called her by her handle, X Thoughtless, but Katie, who did this cover, you know, and Katie was like, "Wait, what?" He like wanted, like, he's a fan of my you know, and it's just like, you never know, right? Like that who you're out there that's following you maybe on Instagram and maybe doesn't comment on anything or whatever, that's just like, you know, totally, you know, inspired by your work, you know. So yeah, I'm sure, Rogério, you're planting lots of trees out there.
We all are. I have no doubt about it. That makes us we are little gods. We're doing our creations.
He says this humbly. So. Yeah.
Jesus said that before. Nobody mocked him.
That's it. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so we got digital Blizzards of Doom. Remind me again the date that's coming out, so I can get it in my mind.
29th of March, so on Tuesday.
Okay, that's when the Kickstarter rolls live.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll have both the book 3 and then the pack to, you know, get caught up on the entire series. And
good. Yeah, that's great.
And then Gabe's doing a Gabe's pool list, which is selected comics from our catalog that, you know, will be an additional tier if somebody wants to get, you know, just the whole smattering of the lesser known comics catalog, along with the digital Lizards of Doom book. So, you know, pretty cool to have, like, you know, creators like kind of pick their choices from, you know, within the catalog. So
sure. What's the duration of that campaign? Doing 30-day or longer? Or?
It'll be a little less than 30 days. I think it's going to run till the 22nd of April.
Okay.
And that's just because that's what the marketing company tells us. Yeah, you guys start on a Tuesday and end on a payday on a Friday.
Yeah, there you go. It's so weird, man. Like, to your point, there's so many tricks and things and the damn algorithms, and you got to fight that stuff. It's you know, I try to advertise for the shows and things, and then, like, you know, Facebook will never show it now, so it's like, you know, because I think you're spamming or something. I don't know. It's a real pain in the ass. So.
Yeah, so I've also learned that too. That was one of the things that Facebook will, when you grow to a certain point, they will actually downrank your content because they expect that you're going to pay for advertising at a certain point. So in some cases, you'll hit a lot more traction with a user account that has 300 followers than a user account that has 7,000 followers.
Oh, that's my problem.
it's a total banana system, you know, and yeah, it's and it's ever evolving, right? They're always adjusting the algorithm and stuff. So, you know, it takes a big team of people who are only focused on that particular thing. And luckily, you know, we got somebody who, you know, she works under the Facebook ad manager, you know, and dashboard, and knows what all those ones and zeros are doing, you know, behind the scenes, because it's all, you know, it's all Greek to me.
Man, I feel like such a slacker because I don't do any of that stuff. I just set it, put it up there, and forget it, man. But yeah, I heard something like only like 5.2% of your audience sees like posts now organically on Facebook, which is that's gross, you know.
1.9 on Instagram. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. I know, like, for a while you dropped off of mine and then come back around. It's funny how, like, they just like, oh, okay, we're going to show you that again. It's like, oh, well, that's nice of you, so thanks. So, but, yeah, I've honestly been spending a lot less time on a lot of those platforms. Just timed, right? It's time I could be spending creating I dropped a lot of my subscription services for that reason too. I'm like, this is time I could spend reading other people's books, absorbing more information, listening to things, podcasts, audiobooks, shows. I had too much time devoted to that, so I'm trying to peel myself back a lot of those worlds, right? Sometimes it's very negative and emotionally disruptive, so just get out of there. Right? So.
Yeah. There's just so and it's it's almost it can, being on that social media, just change your reward receptors in your brain, so that you're stop engaging with your audience and you're engaging with the platform rather, and that's not where you want to be, having it dictate what you consider success or failure, based on just numbers on a on a social media platform. It can be all consuming.
Yeah, it seemed like there was there was like an indie comics circuit, and they were all like interacting with each other, but there was no one coming in from outside that circle. So I feel like you're kind of in that, but out on the outside a little bit. So I think whatever you're doing is working, I guess, right? Because I feel like you're hitting some different people than this circle is hitting, if that makes any sense whatsoever at this hour of the night. So I don't know. It feels like you're doing it right. So I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, it's always, it's never, it's easy to get like, wow, man, so much stuff I could be doing right.
Yeah, Mark, I want to play a time machine now. As you know, this is going to be recorded forever on YouTube. So let's suppose in 50 years, you have a grandson or a granddaughter, and they are interested in comics, and they knew that the granddad was into it. What would be the message that you're going to live for them now? Let's suppose they are watching it in 50 years' time.
I hope, and man, I feel like every time I talk, I feel like such a hippie, especially like,
you're in the right place. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of not just, finding, that success, but also feeling good about how you got there. And those relationships that you have, in the process of getting there, so you can't, I'm sure there's people out there who can enjoy success, even though they, or sold people out or, weren't upfront or underhanded or things like that, but that's certainly not a place that I want to be, and I think, that would be the encouragement to, if I had my daughters, if, they grow up and want to do this or their kids, do whatever, be ambitious, but, do it in a way that you can look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, because it's not just the where you get to, it's the, it's the journey that you on the way that's actually the memories, that you're going to have, and that's really what's going to last more than anything, at least that I think.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. That's great.
Yeah. On that note, I think we're about out of time, so I'll let you get the final word in here, Mark. Let me just, I'll set you up for Digital Lizards of Doom, Tuesday the 29th. Go back that thing on Kickstarter. Follow it early, right? That helps you. So if you want to go follow it now.
That'd be great. If you go to lesserknowncomics.com, the right on the top of the main page is a button that'll bring you right to the pre-launch page. So that's always helpful. And then Kickstarter can bug you on my behalf, rather than getting spammed by Lesser Known Comics. Thank you guys so much for having me. This has been really, really fun, and one of those other things, right, that we wanted to do for quite a while, and finally making it happen. So, Rogerio, thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure meeting you.
All right, thank you.
Hopefully, our paths will cross in the real world. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. So again, we've always been big fans. So finally, nice to connect on this platform. And we always adopt everybody that comes on the show, so we kind of make you our own anyway. So we'll be back around, have you back on, right? So we stay close online together. So
yeah.
Yeah,
big fan of what you're doing too. You guys, it's awesome to get a compliment from people who are making great stuff as well.
Wow, we appreciate it. So hopefully we can look.
Cheers.
So that's great. So appreciate your time tonight, Mark. Let us know if we could be of any help. We'll be helping promote out the new book there for the Kickstarter too, and share as much as we can for you. So appreciate it.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks so much, guys.
Have a good night, everybody. We'll be back in a couple weeks. John's out next week because of the scares that care down in Virginia. So we'll have an update on that when he comes back on April 8th. So that should be a good time. So happy April Fool's Day for everybody next Friday too. So stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Have a good night. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you soon. Have a good evening.